Of return to play coaches meeting. It's nice to see everybody. Been a little bit of a hiatus, although we've had several quarterly meetings scheduled for different regions. So hopefully some of you have been on there. That's something that we started this year based off the success that we had with the coaches meetings. And so I thought it was a good way to connect with everybody and to use that opportunity to extend it to not just coaches, but all the parents and athletes, and I think that they'll probably grow as we continue to do those. So I'm going to pull up the agenda. Jason's off tonight, so I've got the reins of this one. And so, like what we typically do is we start with the DHS numbers, Department of Health Services. And so let me share my screen. And numbers did not change a whole lot over the past couple weeks. They did jump up a little bit. I think we were hovering close to 101 as a state average a few weeks ago, and they went up a little bit. And then it looks like it trended down a little bit with no major change. So for those of you that are new to this, I'll briefly talk about our return to play plan that we have on our website. And so I'll pull that up real quick. If you just go to specialolympicswisconsin.org and you scroll down to return to play, it's actually the first one listed. You get this page, which has all kinds of information and resources and talks about how we are managing the return to play through different phases. Those phases can differ indoors versus outdoor. But mostly it's tied to the burden rate, which is the number that you see on the screen, which is really the number of cases over a 2-week period divided by, I think it's 100,000. Per 100,000 cases. And so we look at this every week on a county by county basis. And therefore, when you start to return to activities, then we start you in a low 10 and under, and then you can petition to move up. And so again, the numbers that we look at each week are basically off the county. You can hover over any county and see their particular numbers. And then that gets tied into this chart here. And then the athletic directors reach out to all the groups that have either wanted to start or return to play or to petition to advance to the next phase. So the one thing that you'll want to notice especially for basketball coming up, because that's an indoor, we do need to get below 100. I'm pretty confident we've been trending in the right direction over the past month or so. But we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll evaluate as we get closer, but things are looking good for that. Sorry, I keep admitting people that keep coming in. So that's there. The other thing I did want to mention, and I don't know, hopefully Brittany or Michaela or Amber, one of you guys are monitoring the chat. If anybody has a chat, if you have a question that's related to this directly, type it in, and somebody will read that off to me. And again, we'll have more of an open mic session than at the end of our presentation. The other thing I did want to mention that's on our website now is the vaccine information. So it's becoming more and more readily available, and it's going to be opened up to pretty much everybody, I think 16 and over on the 5th of April. So some people have asked us about what our policy is, and our policy comes directly from Special Olympics Inc. And so that policy states that we are not mandating that anybody have a vaccine before they can participate. But what we are doing is we're trying to educate to the best of our ability. And so we've got this website set up now with a lot of information that you can share even within your groups, and has things about myth and fact and things like that. And then one of the things somewhere, there's some video testimony from athletes that have been vaccinated from around the US. Over on the right side, I do want to point out that you can register for a free webinar that Missy has organized, which is one of her clinical directors is going to be talking about the vaccine and the reasons why people should get it. So again, in terms of Special Olympics International, it's more of a legal and a privacy issue in terms of mandating who gets it and who doesn't get it. So they've said no, and they said programs can't mandate it either. So we're following their lead on that. The other thing, since I'm on the website, I do want to show you real quick is there's a newsletter. We're some of you get the Inspire newsletter. And so we are kind of revamping how we do this. And it's actually we're trying to make it more targeted. So that way, if there's something going on in a particular part of the state and we want to reach out to athletes, then we'll be able to just, say what zip codes we want, what region it is, and have that go out. So that way, not everybody's getting bombarded with things that say are happening in Wausau and you happen to be in Milwaukee. And so again, it's a way that we can be more targeted. So if you get a chance to go onto the website, just again, you go to the Special Olympics website and it's under get involved, newsletter, sign up. And so that's just a way that you can kind of be in touch with all things going on. And some of the extra things that come up at short notice sometimes as well. So I want to show that. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I realize has caused a bit of consternation among people, is the new waiver that we have to have participants sign. And we completely understand it's a pain in the neck for everybody. And so, but again, it's one of those things where SOI comes down and says, by the way, here's a new form you have to make everybody fill out. And we not only have to have people fill it out, but we have to track it. And so those are all the forms. Again, going back to the main COVID page that has everything on it, the forms can be found on here. I scroll down without going too far. Return to play forms. So there is, this is a screening form for people having practices and need that form. But the participant release form is the one that we have been using. We already had about 1,000 athletes and coaches fill this out and send it in to us, and they send it to the COVID email that's listed right here. But now we have this other form, the communicable disease participant waiver. This is really what we need in case anybody sues us. And so the first one is more educational. Second one is more important for protecting us, protecting the agencies, protecting the coaches, protecting everybody basically. And this is a form that we will collect. We will keep them for 7 years. Because at this point in time, we don't know the long-term ramifications of COVID. We are keeping them for 7 years, and we will have, it will be tied to athlete registration. So when their medical comes due again, they will fill it out once again. And if you're a coach or class A, when your 3 years expire and you're up for a renewal, when you go to do your background check, we'll collect this from you again. And so right now, these two links go to a PDF for you to fill out and sign and scan. We are in the process right now of creating an online form. So that way people can just go online and you can electronically sign off on both of the forms. And then we can, from the back end, see that you've done it, as well as collect a form from that and save that electronic form. So we will have both options available for people. People like paper, they can do that way. If it's easier for them just to go online and fill it out that way, they can do it that way. So be on the lookout for that. Hopefully another week or so, we'll have that up on the site and ready. And I'm sure all the ADs will send out the links to all their contacts once we get that up and running as well. Okay, I'm looking at my, all right, were there any questions in the chat on that? Any of that? If not, I will stop sharing, go back so I can see everybody. Okay, we are coming up on the spring season, so we're going to talk a little bit about what's happening. We do have the fitness competition that is kind of being run by both Brittany and all the ADs, and so setting in scores. Final scores will be collected April 5th through the 11th, and they are due on April 11th. Brittany's nodding her head that is correct. And we will have a virtual awards show for that on Tuesday, April 13th at 6 p.m. So Brittany or Nicole, because I see you guys up here, is there going to be all this information sent out? Will this be in the post?
Yep. So all of the all of the dates that we mentioned tonight will be in a follow-up email tomorrow, but I will email the fitness competition participants specifically on specifics for the fitness competition.
Perfect. And then that leads into basketball skills. We are in April now, and so it's exciting that we are going to try to have another in-person event. We had a pretty successful Winter Games event, and that was safe and fun, and everybody that was attended seemed to have a good time. So we're going to have Northern basketball skills on Saturday, April 24th. The Southern event will be on Sunday, April 25th. And we will have, again, a virtual awards show for that on Tuesday, April 27th at 6 p.m. And then on top of that, to kind of celebrate everything that everybody's been doing, whether you've been going in person or practicing at home or just kind of following along on some of the virtual shows, we're going to have a virtual celebration ceremony for basically everything that we've been doing lately. And that's going to be held on Tuesday, May 4th at 5 p.m. Okay, any questions on spring? Nice football in my background. Oh, sorry, that was yes, Jenny, my favorite athlete. No, I've got a lot of favorite athletes. Got me this football. It's in my background. So she sent that in the chat. Summer season. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about summer season, and I'm going to throw it over to Michaela for this one because she has fun explaining the new track.
I'll do my best. And if you get confused or have any questions, please let me know. So instead of doing our traditional track meet this year, we're going to do a 4-station style track meet. So it's basically 2 track events and 2 field events. We highly encourage athletes to do 4 events because you're going to travel as a group from station to station. So if you don't do all 4 events, you have to stay at that station and just wait around. And you can't wander because we're going to be moving around. So we have 4 categories of options to choose from. And if you are doing running events, you can only do running events. And if you're doing walking events, you can only do walking events. You can't pick the 100 run and the 200 meter walk. You can do the 100 meter run and the 200 meter run. Hopefully that makes sense. We've had quite a few questions about that. Like I said, we're going to travel from station to station as an agency. We're going to be in groups around 25 people, and you're going to spend around 30 minutes at each station. You will be divisioned based on your qualifying scores, but your heats will be based upon your agency because we're going to stick together. So the 4 station areas will be a 100 meter runner walk or a 25 meter runner walk for our developmental athletes. The other side of the track will be a 200 meter runner walk or a 50 meter runner walk for our developmental athletes. And then our 2 field options, you can either pick softball throw or mini jav, and then you can either pick running long jump or standing long jump. That'll be our shifts in the middle of the day. To start the event, start the meet out, we're going to do wheelchair events. All wheelchair events that have been offered in the past are going to be offered this year. So wheelchair athletes can do 3 wheelchair events on the track, and if they want to do softball throw, they can do that as well for their field event option. And then to end the meet, the last shift of the day will be for our mid-distance, long-distance athletes. So it'll be the same exact field events, but their on-track options will be a 400 and an 800 runner walk. So they either do all walking or all running again for those options. I think that is everything. Does anyone have any questions? I know it's a bit of a change.
Michaela, can I call you tomorrow?
Absolutely, Mike.
All right, who wants to tackle swimming?
I'm going to take swimming.
I do.
We'll give you an overview of swimming then, Peter. So swimming is going to be a similar thing where you'll be assigned to a shift based on your agency. And then again, similarly, you'll be divisioned based on your qualifying score, but you will be placed in heats based on your agency. So that's just to try to limit crossover between groups as much as possible. For swimming, the events we'll be offering, we do have limited events as well. There will be no relays. We're going to offer all 4 options for the 25. So butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, and freestyle, all 4 options for the 50. And then the 100 backstroke and the 100 freestyle. So athletes can compete in 3 individual events this year. And again, no relays there. I think that's pretty much it. Everybody will be required to wear a mask at all times when you're not in the pool. And we'll have a system for holding athletes' masks while they're in the water at the
Okay.
top of the lane. Did you have a question, Peter?
Yes, I do. I was gonna ask you, are we gonna have, and is it the agency, is it gonna be a permanent thing wearing masks?
For now, yes.
But it can't be like for 5 years in a row. I don't think they could ever do that, could they?
Hopefully not, but for now, we're just going with it, and there's no timeline for not wearing masks at this time.
I think it should be. I think, you know what, I was looking at the county stuff, you know, and I know they're going by county, but I think it should be as a state as a whole. I think they should treat every county like it's Milwaukee. They should treat every.
Yeah, I mean, that's not necessarily fair for people who are completely across the state and not in a similar COVID situation as some of the bigger cities. So we're trying to make it as fair as possible for everybody on that sense. So the only other thing I'll say for swimming is, so our meets are a little bit later this year. Obviously, normally we would be submitting qualifying scores now and getting ready for our district meets, but those district meets are going to be the first or second weekend in June. And then athletes will have the chance to advance to a single day state tournament at the end of June. We're shooting for Sunday, June 27th, but a venue has not been confirmed yet, so that date is not finalized, but that's what we're targeting.
That's fine. Another thing I was going to ask you, swimming, I mean, I thought it would attract you. I don't know about what our agency. Do we have to be with our agencies, or is it?
Yep.
Can we go? Can you?
Yeah, Peter, yeah, so I'm gonna let Nicole answer that. And then we'll save time for you after. We'll hang on so we can get through some of this stuff, okay?
Yeah, so we are asking that you compete with your agency if possible. If your agency is not doing anything and you would like to compete, there is an in-practice option for both track and swimming. So that's a little bit different than the typical district to state structure. For our in-practice competition, you can compete in all the same events that Michaela listed for track and I said for swimming. And you'll just turn in qualifying scores. Those scores will be due the same day as your regional or district registration deadline. So for track, I believe that's either April 21st or April 28th. And for swimming, it's either May 19th or 26th maybe? And
Yeah.
then you will be divisioned against athletes across the whole state and awarded based on placement there. Those final scores will be due let's see, this is confusing. So the final scores for swimming will be due on June 6th. That's the day of the first district swim meet. So all in-practice scores will be due that day. And then athletes will be divisioned against competitors across the state. And then you will receive your awards at your district or regional's virtual awards ceremony, which will be the following Tuesday after the in-person competition. So those dates for track would be either April 21st or 28th for qualifying scores, May 9th for final scores, and then you will get awards at your regional or district competitions.
So do we have that all on a sheet somewhere?
It's all on the web pages. If you go to the swimming web page or the track
So
web
what-
page, it is
I'm just
written
asking
down,
for
so it may
everybody
be a
else
little-
that's sitting here.
yeah,
Guys,
maybe a little easier to follow if you're reading the words.
yeah, how are you supposed to get that, like, that information? Where do I go to a pool to swim it, or do I go to a virtual pool, or do I go to a Y, or do I go to someplace by myself to do it, or what?
You do it in your bathtub, Peter.
I won't fit in my bathtub. I'm not Tiny Tim. Hey,
All
I'm
right,
not Miss
well,
Lucy's
like I
baby
said,
Tiny
Peter,
Tim.
Peter, like I said, hang on after this is over and we'll work with you, okay?
Oh, great call, Brittany. So Brittany just put in the chat the links to the swimming webpage and the track webpage, but she also mentioned for swimming, we do have an option for a developmental event, and it's going to be a 15-meter distance. And then athletes can choose to participate in the assisted swim, unassisted swim, or kickboard event. So the developmental swimming We're just gonna have a 15-meter distance, and then you can choose between those 3 options. Any questions for swimming?
I
Okay.
think
We'll answer your questions at the end, Peter. Just hang on.
Peter.
All right, sounds
All
good.
right. Soccer. So soccer, we will have a state soccer tournament that will be held the same day as the Region 8 track meet. And so the dates for that will be the same. I don't know, Amber, I saw Haley on here too. Is there anything specific you guys want to talk about soccer?
No,
They're going to
that's,
have to wear masks.
yep, because
and-
they are a team sport, they have to wear masks because we can't social distance them and we can't, because there's contacts. So they are gonna have to wear them the entire time.
And they don't have to do the 2 games, correct?
Correct. So you're gonna do the soccer skill form instead of having to go to an invitational and submit 2 game scores.
So it's not perfect, but again, with any of these things, track will look different, swimming will look different. We understand that. We're trying to do whatever we can to try to be able to have some in-person events and try to keep the athletes as safe as possible. And so the same thing with the questions on the masks and things like that. I mean, we're always going to err on the side of caution. I think there's a lot of positivity about where we're heading. And I know that in one of the quarterly meetings, we had a large discussion about softball. And my hope is that we will be running softball like we normally do. But we just have to wait. We have to kind of evaluate each week as we get closer. But hang in there, we're getting there. Mike asked about USA Games. There's also on the website a page dedicated to USA Games, so all the information is there. We have completed, today's the 1st, so bowling should be done. Is swimming and track live yet? If not, it will be shortly. And so very similar to what we did with bowling, we're going back to a gold medal for 2018, 2019. And then if you compete in a regional event, yeah.
If you place first at a regional competition,
Okay.
so your results from 2018 and 2019 have to be at a state level competition, but since our quota is a little bit smaller this year due to the smaller participation, it's just the regional, but you still have to get a gold medal.
And that's all information is on the website. It's when you click on the nomination form, the first page that comes up is all the eligibility criteria. So, and you can, if you have questions about that, just call me or email me and I can help out. Okay, I think that's it for the sports. We don't have on here, but I will again just throw out there because people have been asking about the outdoor season. We have the date August 7th booked for Carroll College. We're in madly booking facilities for trying to have district softball, bocce, and golf is set. And so again, we're hoping that every week we get numbers down and more people vaccinated, and that we'll be able to have those things like we normally would. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, we have Brittany's fabulous fitness competition that she wants to talk about.
So some of you might know that we had a spring fitness competition, and Don mentioned that it's wrapping up next week. We had about 67, 68 participants. Both athletes and unified partners are able to compete in that. It was such a great success. We're going to do it again. So we're still finalizing the dates and the specific exercises, but I did want to just put it on your radar just so you know that it's coming. It will be somewhere in June through August. The specific dates are still kind of being fleshed out. And the specifics of the exercises and levels are also still being figured out. But I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware. That can be done on an individual level at home in a completely virtual, safe environment. If you have athletes that aren't comfortable being out and about yet, this is a great option for them to stay involved. And it can also be done in addition to your practices, whether it's a specific fitness practice, or maybe you just tag it on to your track, or I suppose by then you're probably starting softball, bocce, and those types of things. So it's a great way to just add in a little bit to what you're already doing and hopefully not adding too much work. But they get a chance to double award in a sense. So they're competing in softball or bocce or golf or tennis or whatever it may be. But they can also compete in fitness and get awarded for that as well. So stay tuned for more information. That'll go up on our website and we'll send it out to everyone once we have it.
And I want to just mention too, that again, what Brittany said is you can tie it to an existing, practice that you're already doing, because, to work on those exercises that you're doing, it's not going to take you a whole lot of time to do that. So incorporate that. And then for the Madison folks, I see Steve. I don't know if Kate's on here. I'm thinking about getting back our old walking club, starting that up, and then we can incorporate the fitness competition as a piece of the walking club. So just another idea for other agencies.
And we will, I say we as in the general SOWI staff, will be hosting once a week virtual practices for that. I say practices, they're essentially just a workout, but they will be, the date of, or the day I should say, of the week is still to be determined. We did Tuesday evenings this time around, seemed to work out well. But athletes, it'll be just like this. It'll be a Zoom, athletes can join, workout will be led. And, that's one way, if they're doing it at home on their own, they get an additional workout with us. If they're doing it as part of a practice, it's just another, again, it's optional, but it's just another way for them to get in another workout in the week. So I highly recommend joining if your athletes are interested in that. So again, just kind of stay tuned for more information to come. I just wanted to put it on your radar so you know what that is when it does come out. Do you want me to do the save the dates?
Sure.
While
go
I'm
ahead.
talking?
We're on a roll.
So I will share this in the follow-up email because I know we've thrown a lot of dates at you guys already, but we did want to just highlight a few things that are coming up. So one being, and I think Don mentioned it in the very beginning, we are having a COVID vaccine education session led by one of our clinical directors. That will be Wednesday, April 14th at 7 p.m. I will send out information, including a registration link for that. Everyone is welcome. It will be targeted towards athletes, but parents, caregivers, coaches, anyone that you think would benefit from that is more than welcome to join. While we're highly anticipating the fitness competition to start, we will be having a yoga series that will start at the end of April and run through May. On Sundays at 7, we have a certified yoga instructor, so don't worry, it's not me, who will be leading us through a 5-week series of yoga. Again, it's targeted towards athletes, but anybody is welcome to join, and that is free. I'll send out information on that as well. And then we've mentioned it a few times in the past, but I just want to say it one more time. We do have a virtual leadership conference this year that will be held on Saturday, May 22nd. Running roughly, I think, don't quote me on the times, I'll look it up before I send it out, but I believe it's like 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Registration is live for that already, so I will include that as well. You can find the information on our website too if you're eager before my email comes. And then just looking ahead, we'll continue these coaches meetings every other week going forward. So our next one will be April 15th. That's a Thursday at 7 o'clock. So I will continue to send follow-up emails and reminder emails. So keep an eye out for those.
All right. And so with that ends our portion. And so we're happy to stick on here and answer any questions anybody has. If they want to sort of just unmute yourself and ask away.
Don't
Otherwise,
forget
for
the
those
move
of you that
challenge.
Move challenge is already going.
Well,
Hey,
you're gonna,
Don.
hey. Oh,
Hey,
one more
Don.
thing.
Hey, PJ.
Hey, I have a couple questions. So one, if any of you guys, coaches do not know that there are 4 athletes are doing surveys, from every regional. So just to let you know, if your athletes are calling you, please let them know if like a survey. I'm just gonna let you know, I have region 8 and 7. So just to let you know, the other questions are, like softball, when we're on the field and, we have those masks and we have to wear a mask. What are we going to do if we're on the field and we have to wear a regular mask and, we have to wear the mask, those metal things on our face for first base, third base, and pitcher?
For the infield, right. So from my understanding with the way those masks work, you got some space to reach up inside there. So it shouldn't be prohibitive. So, I think one thing is we check in around the state with what girls softball high school has been doing, right? Because they've all been playing with masks. So yeah, no, it's a good point, Peter, and we'll look into that and make.
Peter,
I'm sorry, PJ.
I'm gonna get you.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you with Peter.
No, that's fine.
PJ, we'll provide some sort of guidance as we get closer to people practicing. But
Okay.
again, I think that there's enough room in there where it shouldn't be.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is, you have that chin strap, the chin when you're pulling, and then like if we're running around the bases, we're gonna sweat in those masks so fast.
Yeah, well, you should, again, high school sports, they wear soccer,
Okay, all right.
basketball, they're all wearing them.
Okay.
So, and then again, there's always special cases. And so if there is a special case for somebody, we've got the special need forms that coaches can fill out.
Okay, I thought I asked.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine.
Hey, Don, this is Phil in Verona.
Hey, Phil.
One question we have with the track, when they're doing their walking or running events, they do have to wear a mask for that also?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, when they get up, when they compete in the event, they can take it down.
Okay, good. Because
Because
Nick
they're
was
still-
practicing his 800 and he sucked his mask in a couple times.
Yeah.
For his time off.
And the
Yeah.
difference is because of the proximity to people. And again, that's
Okay.
what we're trying to use.
Yeah,
All right.
and if athletes are able to get a mask that's more similar to a N95, that kind of has a little bit more structure to it, you don't quite suck it in as much as like you're just a cloth mask. So that may be helpful as well at practice if you have somebody that's struggling with that.
Yeah, and you have to watch out with their asthma too. So those masks impede that a little bit. So yeah, we'll experiment with what type of mask works best for him. Thanks.
Yeah, if anything else comes up, just contact us.
All right, thanks.
Hey, Don, I got a question while you're on the topic. So when I was talking, because I'm with the Guineas up here in Menominee, and I was talking to Dan a little bit about over a month ago, and I was told that we were required to be vaccinated before we are allowed to return to the playing field. Is that true at all?
No, that is incorrect.
I didn't know what you guys were going
So
off
that
of.
is, I'll just, because I sent it out in an email to all the coaches, I sent it out to all the agency managers. So no, that comes again directly from SOI. It's passed on to us and as an accredited program. So we are a state accredited program to SOI, and all of the local programs or agencies are accredited programs as part of Special Olympics Wisconsin. So we all have the same rules. And so no, they don't do it. We can't do it. Programs can't do it.
So if you guys are saying no at the state level, then why am I being told two different things?
I'm not sure. We'll have to, why don't we talk about this tomorrow? Give me a call and maybe we can even get.
Mike, I can talk to Dan too, if you want me
Okay.
to.
Yeah, that's right. Let Michaela do it.
Okay.
That does bring up one other thing I guess I'll mention is that we have a lot more people interested in coming back to play, and sometimes their families and coaches and agency managers aren't comfortable yet. So we're trying to find a way to work with everybody on this. And again, we've had the virtual options for people But again, just know that we realize that there's more kind of stirring and people getting interested in coming back. And the comfort level is just not the same for everybody. And so we have to do what we feel is best for the athletes. And we also have to try to do what's best in terms of, providing opportunities for athletes but also making sure that the coaches and the local programs who we depend on so much, their leadership, that they're in a comfortable situation as well. So we're working on some options. More to come on that later on, probably in another week or two.
Yeah, question for you, Mr. Wigington. I gotta
Yes,
ask
Mr.
you,
Freeman.
I was gonna ask about the COVID, like say if somebody's vaccinated and stuff, do they have to turn that in with their medical?
No,
Do they have to turn that in? Because
we are not checking.
okay, because I got
and we're not asking. We feel, again, it's a personal privacy issue.
privacy. Yeah, that makes sense.
We encourage people to get
That
it,
makes sense.
and we're trying to educate people about why they should get it. But there's people that they will all make their own choices and do what they feel is best for themselves, and so we respect that.
Hi, Don. Phil again.
Yeah.
Is there screening for exposure to COVID for athletes and coaches prior to events?
Yes. Yep. So like what we did with Winter Games is we had a central location so that everybody came in, they went through the screening, they got a special bright neon sticker to show that they've been screened. So, and again, and that's why, because you have to have that at your practices when you start, it's easier to do it at small scale. So you kind of learn the system with 10 people. And then once you get that down, a couple weeks later, you can petition for more. As our events grow, again, we have to deal with what we're going to be doing with spectators. With basketball, it's kind of, again, everybody's funneled into one area, so it's going to be fairly simple to do. Track could be a little bit of a different matter, and so we're kind of working out what we're going to do there. But yeah, so screening is a big part of the process, and it's, again, people can lie in terms of what they say on those things, but we need to have a record. And the most important thing is because if there's an outbreak, then we have a record of everybody that's there, and we can say, okay, for contact tracing. And again, as numbers go down and vaccines go up, and we're going to get to a situation where we'll make that flip in terms of what we're doing. But right now, everything we do is kind of coming down from SOI, and we follow it. And again, we will err on the side of caution if we have to come make a decision. Anyone else?
Yeah, another question for you. I know I'm not trying to dominate the program, Mr. Wigington or Michaela or Brittany, but I got a question for you. Now, with the basketball, I noticed I watched high school basketball sports this winter. I didn't get to go to any games, but I saw them, and they did not jump the ball. They did not have any jump balls. They had the alternate team hand the ball, and I don't know if it's a permanent thing, because they're talking about doing it permanently with the W.
Well, Peter, we're actually not doing team basketball, so a lot of those.
This year, yeah, I know this year, yeah, but I'm talking about next year when it comes back.
We're working like 1 or 2 months at a time, Peter. You're a little ahead of us.
I know, but are they gonna ever be able to jump the ball again, or are they gonna? No,
Well,
this is a question for.
I would call WIA offices. Talk to Tom Shafransky.
No.
Don't tell him I called. No, I mean, again, they have their own rules, right? And so
Just Special Olympics, I know this. Special Olympics does have a lot of their they do a lot of the WIA stuff. Like, is Special Olympics basketball going to offer a shot clock ever?
No, probably not.
Oh, I just wondered.
I thought you were going to ask me if we were going to go to halves instead of quarters.
That'd be a good one too. That might not be a bad. You know what? That might not be a bad idea. But if they're shorter halves, because I know that we go to, was it 6-minute quarters? They could go to 13-minute halves. I think that might be a good possibility.
Okay. Anyone else? Peter could go on all night if nobody else has any other questions. No. All right. Well, we'll sign off then. Again, if anybody has something they want us, they can stick on here. Otherwise, thanks for coming, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.